When you don't need anyone, the room changes its posture, the tone lowers, interruptions disappear, jokes die before they're even born. Because autonomy isn't vanity, it's the currency of power. Every time you begged for a ride, a favor, or attention, you lost a millimeter of your voice. The bill arrived late, veiled charges, disdain. Exposed dependence is a leash on someone else's hand, even if golden. Machiavelli wouldn't call it destiny, but engineering. He who sets his own pace governs. He who lives off the impulses of others becomes a subject. Respect isn't born from nice requests. It's born from the act accomplished politely. You state what you'll do and follow through. No drama, no excuses that become weapons against you. Dignity resides in "I've already decided," followed by "I've already done it." Today, you will take food from the plates of those who feed on your need. You will shorten the table until only those who add to it can fit. You will trade explanation for constancy, a low voice, a firm hand, 3 repetitions that build a reputation without asking permission. You will accept being underestimated by those who mistake silence for weakness while working in peace. And you will build the bridge when the time is right, not out of isolation, but out of discretion. He who controls the bridge controls the castle. Here's the rule: cut one chain at a time and watch respect return as a consequence, not as a favor. Small, repeated autonomy creates big presence. If you're tired of negotiating your own dignity in installments, stay. Push, subscribe, and walk without asking permission. The price of dependence. When you need it, it becomes a collar. Every humiliation starts small. A quick request, an innocent favor, a ride just because it's the way to go. The real payment comes in the form of delays, jokes, indirect demands. The more dependent you are, the less your voice carries. Machiavelli wouldn't call this bad luck. He'd call it poorly constructed architecture. Those who hold their own throne with the hands of others are already falling. Exposed dependence is a leash in someone else's hands, and a golden leash is still a leash. Stop here. See what happens if you know to act. Another month asking, "What's the deal?" Another year in which your mood follows someone else's calendar. More birthdays arriving with elastic promises and leaving with the same old joke about you not being able to handle it alone. If you put this off for another week, you're pushing a year of veiled jokes along with it. The bill grows in the shadows. The path back is not grand. It is surgical. For 7 days, observe where you always ask for help: transportation, money, company, to avoid facing silence. Name each current. Just writing it down weakens the illusion. Then a simple rule: 1 point resolved per week. Alone, learn the route. Pay up front. Feel good in your own company. Win by the millimeter that fits on the clock. Small, repeated autonomy creates great presence. You'll see a curious shift. When the need disappears, the room changes tone. The same people who once dragged you along with their elastic promises start to mince their words, not because they've gotten better, but because they've lost the lever that moved you. Those who can't slow you down, can't diminish you. Those who don't carry their time in their pockets, can't control their moods. No receipt, no conversation. Break the chain and see who is still at the table. The short table. Only those who add value sit down. There's a loneliness at a crowded table. People who only remember you when they need you and vanish when your downfall requires a firm hand. Chairs are occupied by those who bring hunger, not nourishment. By those who demand presence but offer no support. It's emotional arithmetic. Too many bites, too few dishes. Chronic fatigue isn't bad luck. It's poor logistics. Authority arises when you cut chairs. Fewer guests, more order. When the table gets shorter, the invitation ceases to be an automatic right and becomes a consequence of merit. The rule becomes clear. Access is a privilege sustained by reciprocity, not by need disguised as generosity. A table is infrastructure. It can handle loads, not crowds. Now do a simple and brutal test. List 3 names and ask yourself, silently, has this person ever paid any costs for me? It could be money, reputation, time, or risk exposure. If the answer is never for the same person, that chair is taking the place of someone who would add value. It's not revenge. It's logistical justice. At work, the pattern is identical. The quickies colleague never adheres to protocol, dumps tasks on your desk, and reaps the credit at the end. When you shorten the professional table, prioritize those who show up with context, deadlines, and share the effort. The quickies disappear or learn, and the team discovers that your desk isn't a public square for time consumption. It's a delivery station. Confession question. Answer for yourself. Which chair do you retire this week, and why? If you get stuck, you already have the answer. Some will call your criteria cold. Let them. Those who confuse limits with lack of love are the ones who profit from your lack of boundaries. Save the image. Royal banquet has guards at the door. Whoever didn't bring anything doesn't eat, and whoever wants to eat learns to cross the bridge by protocol. With fewer chairs, your voice doesn't need to shout. Short voice, steady hand. Advertise, don't beg. Those who explain too much invite the audience to vote on their own. With every "I'm just tired" or "I'll wake up early tomorrow," what was once a decision becomes a plebiscite. And a plebiscite about your life usually ends with you giving in, because the other person demands more emotion, more context, more concessions. The antidote seems cold, but it's a careful one. Change argument to default. Say little, repeat as often, end early. Respect is not born of speech, it is born of consistency. A curt voice without a firm hand becomes bravado. A firm hand without a curt voice becomes blind rigidity. Together, they create predictability. By the 3rd iteration, even the most persistent stop testing, because they discover there's no hidden loophole in their justification. There's no justification at all. There's a timetable and consequences. Silence closes the case. Those who try to reopen it don't want an agreement. They want an audience. Corporate microcase. Every day at 6 p.m. The message arrives. Can you just review this real quick? Before, you made an exception to not seem unfriendly and worked late. Now, you announce the rule at 5 p.m. Closing at 6 p.m. Reviews due tomorrow at 9 a.m. 3 days of this, the real quick becomes planning or silence. Result: less manufactured urgency, more real respect. Dignity doesn't shout, it operates. With the short voice in place, you can disappear from the stage without losing your bearings. It's time to use camouflage to your advantage. The art of being underestimated. The power of "I don't need to prove it." The desire to prove yourself is a sweet poison. You explain too much, show off too much, give the stage to someone else, and, as a bonus, fuel competition. Friends start to test your strength. Relatives test your patience. Partners slow down to fit on top. The more you strive to be seen, the more you confirm that you need their gaze to exist. This is the trap. Hierarchy becomes theater. Self-sufficiency cuts this circuit. When you no need to prove, the urgency to win the conversation disappears. You trade applause for achievement and reduce the oxygen of the competition. You let people think you're simple, that you lack ambition. Meanwhile, build. Being underestimated isn't weakness, it's camouflage. Those who spend energy measuring you don't realize they've already fallen behind. Immediate practice. Refuse the reflex to respond to every provocation. Did someone mock your low-key project? Smile and change the subject. Did they silently question your weekend? Smile and change the subject. Result is self-advocacy. He arrives, takes his place, and makes the right noise. That of a fait accompli. Those who laughed learn to keep quiet. Those who underestimated begin to negotiate in their own time. The added benefit is psychological. You stop seeking an audience for every step. If you have to make a mistake, you make it off stage. If you have to succeed, you succeed with a receipt. The respect that matters arises from what remains when the noise subsides. Consistency, delivery, predictability. Discussions about your ability become irrelevant in light of what's already been accomplished. Save this figure. The wolf that looks like a dog crosses the village without being hunted. He doesn't bark. He doesn't demand passage. He doesn't fight for territory with noise. He walks, and in the woods, when necessary, he bares his teeth, not to prove his teeth, but to finish the job. With the work going on silently, it remains to draw who enters and who stays outside. Drawbridge. Choose who crosses invasion is rarely pure evil. It arises from uncontrolled access, when everything about you is always available. Time, money, attention. The blame for the invasion is shared. He who doesn't control the bridge doesn't control the castle. Here, self-sufficiency isn't isolation, it's selection. You decide when to lower the bridge and who deserves to cross. Set the default state. Bridge raised. This isn't coldness, it's form. Anyone who wants to enter comes with schedule, duration, and purpose. Our request without form is noise in a hurry. The conversation moves away from emotion and into logistics. What the window is, what the counterpart, what the outcome is. Without these elements, the bridge won't descend, and the world learns quickly. No timetable, no duration, no purpose, no bridge. Choose 2 sacred periods each week: workout, reading, silence, and treat them as inviolable territory. At first, they'll call it rigidity. Later, trust, because your stability improves everything around you. Those who respect you organize themselves. Those who use you disappear. Draw access layers: courtyard, hall, tower. The courtyard is large. Messages, simple requests, answered in your time. The hall demands reciprocity. Those who enter bring something, bear part of the cost, and don't push everything onto you. The tower is rare and protected. Only those who have proven repeatedly that they won't break what you build can ascend. This map avoids favoritism, ends personal arguments, and educates better than any sermon. Every violation receives bridge adjustment, not judgment of intent. Tried to cross without an announcement? You lose a layer of access for a period. Did you respect protocol? You recover. It's metrics, not drama. Gradually, your circle learns that you don't operate by blackmail. You operate by rule. Conflicts decrease because entry conditions are clear. You stop putting out fires on the banks and go back to caring for the heart of the castle: health, focus, projects. A strong castle is not the one with the highest walls. It is the one that knows when get up and when lower the bridge. Now tie the table to the bridge and close the arch. Architecture of respect. When the need ends, the theater ends. You're no longer pulled by elastic promises. You move the environment with short decisions. What seemed like a detail, a ride, a favor, Just today was the leash that guided your mood, your schedule, your voice. You cut a chain, gained a degree of respect, not because someone apologized, but because they lost their grip. Look at the path you have built. First, practical autonomy. One thing a week solved with your own hands, the millimeter that fits on the clock. Then, short table. Chairs for those who add, closed door for those who only consume. Then, short voice and firm hand. Less explanation, more repetition. The camouflage of the underestimated. Work in peace, while the noisy ones get tired of measuring. Finally, drawbridge. Access by criteria, not by guilt. Tie the metaphors together. At your table sits those who crossed your bridge. In your castle sits those who helped build the wall. The rest watch from a distance. No rancor, no stage. From now on, treat respect as a consequence of architecture, not conversation. Choose a chain and break in 7 days. Choose a chair and remove without noise. Write a sentence that protects your time and fulfills 3 times. 3 times or nothing, except being called cold by those who lived off your warmth. The affection that matters doesn't need to exhaust you to exist. Define 2 sacred times per week and protect them like they are family, because they are. Without them, everything else falls apart. If that made sense, make the commitment public in 1 line. Which chain do you cut this week and until when? And come back and tell us what's changed. Those who prefer the stage will complain. Those who prefer results will understand the language. Stay close and bring someone who still confuses generosity with infinite availability. In the end, the principle is simple and hard. Whoever controls the bridge itself decides who crosses. Those who don't need anyone don't isolate themselves. Choose, and when the choice is constant, respect ceases to be a demand and becomes a landscape. Raise the bridge when necessary, lower it when it makes sense, and move at your own pace. The rest is learned.